morning, Scotland. Good morning, social media land. I hope you are well. It is Monday, the 16th of June, 2025. They say no one kicks a dead dog, but watching the Labour benches howl with laughter as one of their own mocked John Swinney at Prime Minister's questions, you'd be forgiven for thinking that's exactly what is happening to the SNP. Mocked, dismissed, diminished. And yet behind the jeers and jabs, the truth is far more complex and more painful. The SNP isn't dead. It's wounded. It's limping through a political battlefield it once commanded. Boxed in on every front by an emboldened Labour Party, a rising far right, and the consequences of a cautious strategy that no longer inspires anyone but the party's HQ. That is the frustration. The heartbreak even, because this movement was built on hope, on clarity, on purpose. And for years, the SNP carried that hope further than we could have thought possible. It gave Scotland its own parliament, its own agenda and its own confidence to believe in something bigger than just survival within this union. It didn't just hold the line, it moved it forward. But now, it feels like the line is slipping, and the leadership is too scared to chase it. Support for independence is rising, but the strategy has stalled. Activists are frustrated, even angry, but their passion is being managed, not mobilised. And everywhere, there's a growing sense that the biggest engine for Scottish independence has left the independence road. This isn't a hit piece against the SNP. It's not a eulogy, but it is a warning, because the movement can survive without party loyalty, but it can't survive without direction. For a long time, gradualism worked. After the 2014 referendum, it was the only path forward because Westminster had slammed the door shut on any possibilities of another referendum or taking independence further. The SNP took the long route, building trust, governing well, proving Scotland could stand on her own 2 feet. And they did it with dignity and skill. They shielded Scots from the worst of Tory austerity, protected free tuition, mitigated the bedroom tax, defended the NHS, expanded childcare, and brought social justice into government. In every corner of Scotland, the benefits of that strategy were real. The SNP made the case for independence, not with flags, but with functioning services. It was the right fight at the right time. But what was once a shield is now a wall. Gradualism has become an excuse. We're no longer building the road to independence. We're managing devolution, and managing it well has become the strategy, not the stepping stone. That's the turn. That's the moment the movement started drifting. And it's why so many activists who defended gradualism previously now feel betrayed by what it has become. A loop, a defence of the status quo instead of a strategy for liberation. Labour has seized the economic narrative, feeding Scotland with just enough token investment to blunt old grievance lines. They didn't solve anything, they just covered it in shiny press releases, acorn carbon capture, defence contracts and supercomputers. Every one of them a Trojan horse designed to shut the SNP up and reclaim Scotland's trust. And in some parts, it's working. Now, when the SNP criticises them, they're cast as ungrateful, even though those 3 particular things were removed from Scotland last year by the Labour government. When they challenge Labour, they sound cynical now. We've got the supercomputer, so why are you complaining? When they call out Westminster, they're accused of playing the same tired record. And that's the trap, because Labour has studied the SNP's playbook and it's dismantling it page by page. Meanwhile, Reform UK is rising. Farage is hovering like a vulture over post-industrial Scotland, angry, opportunistic, fake empathy dripping from his teeth. And in too many communities, that rage, that Farage rage, that Farage is landing. Working class anger is being harvested by fascists, while the independence movement argues about slogans. This should be our moment. Independence is polling round about 54-55%, more if you thoroughly believe. But where is the urgency? Where is the momentum? Where is the independence version of JERS, the public truth about our finances? Where is the constant, unapologetic economic argument that dismantles Westminster's myth of Scottish dependency? It's nowhere, because silence has replaced strategy and the movement is paying the price. The rejection of an independence convention, even while support is rising and the movement is begging for coordination, is more than a tactical mistake. It's a betrayal of the movement. It tells activists, stay in your lane, wait until we say it's time. That sounds very much like Westminster speaking. Now is not the time. The activists did wait. We waited through Salmond, we waited through Sturgeon, through COVID, through Brexit, and through the Supreme Court ruling. We've waited, and all the while we've been told to trust the plan. But if there's a plan, no one's allowed to see it. And if there isn't a plan, then what exactly are we defending? The most shocking part isn't the frustration, it is how predictable it has all become. The SNP leadership clamps down, HQ silences local strategies, election campaigns avoid independence altogether. Then when we lose, we get a press release, a reshuffle of the cabinet, a promise of second phase thinking. This isn't movement building, it's risk management, and it is killing our momentum. The truth is, many in the movement feel abandoned, not because the SNP is evil, not because they're corrupt, but because they've stopped leading. The party that once rode at the front of the charge is now checking spreadsheets, counting polling points, and hoping the union will collapse under its own weight. But the union doesn't collapse. It clings, it adapts, it cooperates, and it survives every time we let fear replace fire. So activists are now taking things into their own hands. Liberation Scotland and Mike Fenwick's declaration of a sovereign Scot are already in the hands of the United Nations, making the international case for Scotland's right to self-determination. Believe in Scotland are building cultural and emotional resonance through campaigns like Creating Scotland, while Business for Scotland make the hard economic case for why independence is the logical choice for a modern economy. All under one banner continues to bring us together on the streets with rallies and events powered by years of expert organisation. Yes hubs, local groups, keep the flames alive in towns and villages, communities, debating, educating and acting where it matters the most. And in the background, you've got a hub of digital guerrillas. That's us, Saorsa, doing what they do best, creating, posting, infiltrating, agitating. This is what the power of a movement looks like. But let's be clear, this isn't a demand to tear the SNP down. It's a challenge to the party to stand up. We need the SNP, we need their infrastructure, their reach and their representation. We need them to win in the constituencies in 2026 to form the pro-Scottish core of a Holyrood that puts Scotland first. But we do not need their silence, we do not need their caution, and we do not need their permission to organise. The cause comes first, not the party, not the personalities, and not even the polling. So if the SNP still believes in the dream it helped build, then it must fight for it again. Not manage it, not survive it. Fight for it. The frustration we feel is not disloyalty. It's the deepest kind of loyalty, the kind that remembers what we were and refuses to accept what we're becoming. We stood by the SNP when they were bold. Now we're asking them to be bold enough to stand with us. There's a lot going on in the independence movement just now with regards to John Swinney being given 2 weeks by a cabal of 25 high-ranking SNP people. I say that these 25 SNP folk that have laid down this 2-week challenge to John Swinney, so why don't you come out and say who you are, stand up and face the cameras and the scrutiny yourself? What are your ideas for all of the independence movement? Why are you laying it on one person? Are you just wanting to push him out to cause more chaos within the movement as a whole? I say that you're cowards for not putting your face in the newspapers, for not standing up and saying publicly, listen, where is this strategy? We have strategies. Why are you not holding a convention? Why don't you come out and say that? Or are you just hiding behind anonymity because it's more fun to cause grievance within the movement, to keep the SNP a bit sort of like fractured and moving in different directions? Cowards. Cowards. I'll say it again for a third time. Cowards. I've got my face right here saying how I feel as a member of the SNP, as somebody who is standing for local office. I know I have integrity. I know what I believe in. I just don't understand why allegedly there's 25 people saying that John Swinney better come up with a strategy for independence. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit difficult for him at conference this Saturday. Also this Saturday is Pride Day in Edinburgh and the big march in Stirling for All Under One Banner, which I'll be attending along with some other Saorsa folk. We'll probably be marching around the pro-Pally people because they make the most noise. Incidentally, we need to come up with some more magical, inspiring chants and things like that for the march, because what do we want? Independence. When do we want it now? It's a bit dull. Dull. We need to come up with some more ones. So answers on a postcard, please, to info@saorsascot.com with your latest ideas for chants for Saturday. The rest of this week is going to be looking at historical revolutionaries, what they did for their movement, and what they would probably do for our movement. That'll be starting tomorrow with our own strategy, and then a little bit more in depth on Wednesday as well. I hope you come back and watch those videos too. Thank you for watching.
We marched through the silence, we spoke through the haze, carried by hope through the longest of days. They built the stage, but we lit the flame. Now they move slower, but we still remain. They said, hold on, it's not the time. But we saw the cracks in every line. We were never just waiting, we were always the spark, pushing the wheel when the road got too dark. If you won't run, then step aside, 'cause we are the storm you can't hide. We stood through the winters, through every delay, chained by a system we never obeyed. Plans were written in careful disguise, This isn't about crowns or names. It's not who wins, it's what remains. The cause was never theirs to own. It lives in us, in every stone. We're not broken, just done being still. Our voices rise beyond their will. From every street to every sky, we are the reason why. They said way more, but we said no. Our time is rising, let it show. We were never just waiting, we were always the spark, fueled by a dream that never went dark. If you won't fight, then step aside. 'Cause we are the storm, we are the tide, we are the voice they can't divide.